Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the Indus Water Treaty and why India wants to renegotiate it. Let's begin. Let me give a bit of background about the Indus Water Treaty. Before India was partitioned, the waters and the rivers of the Indus River Basin were all within the British Raj in India. But after partition, the rivers were split between India and Pakistan, and Pakistan was the low riparian state, and India was the one that had control over whether to let water flow into Pakistan or not. Now, India had no intentions of ever using water as a weapon against Pakistan, but Pakistan was uh, nervous and insecure, and so they called for a treaty to be made between the two countries about sharing the water in the river basin. Negotiations continued through in the 40s through the 50s until 1960 when the Indus Water Treaty was formed. And now there's a new development happening about it, and I want to talk about that. This is the Indus River Basin. It starts somewhat from Tibet, China in Tibet, and continues, goes through India and reaches Pakistan and arrives at the Arabian Sea. And some of the water also reaches Gujarat in India. So, as you can see, the waters pass through India, and so Pakistan was nervous uh, and insecure. That's why the treaty had to be signed. It was signed under the negotiations of the World Bank. So here we can see that according to the treaty, these three rivers, Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej, can be used by India fully without any restriction, and Pakistan can use these three rivers, Chenab, Jhelum, and the Indus River itself, fully. Now, uh, however, Pakistan can use these rivers, which are called the Eastern rivers, for certain purposes, and India can use the Western rivers for certain purposes, which I'll talk about later. So here, India and Pakistan can use the Western and Eastern rivers uh, respectively for the uses of agriculture, domestic use, and generation of hydroelectric power. They can only not use the water for any purpose that is consumptive of water. Consumptive use of water means that the water, once used, does not return to its source. And so that would basically be permanently taking the water away from the river system, and the party that has the right to that river won't be able to use that water that was taken. So that rule was implemented. According to the Indus Water Treaty, there would be a Indus Water Commission set up between the two countries. Each would have one commissioner who is an engineer, works, and if there's a dispute or a problem or arises, first it will be considered as a question. It will be first examined by the commission, by each commissioner from both the countries. And if the commissioners believe that they cannot answer the question adequately for each of them, then the question will become a dispute. Sorry, a difference. The difference will be addressed by a neutral expert appointed by both countries. If the neutral expert cannot find a solution to the difference, then the difference becomes a dispute. The dispute will be discussed by negotiators of one each, appointed by each country. And if the dispute cannot be resolved by the negotiator, go to a court of arbitration, which will be established uh, with, and this court will include members of the World Bank, and both countries will have to abide by the decision of the Court of Arbitration. Current issue between India and Pakistan related to the Indus Water Treaty is about two hydropower projects that India is building in Jammu and Kashmir. This is the Keshan Ganga hydropower project and the Ratle hydropower project. Pakistan has objected to these projects, saying that under the Indus Water Treaty, India does not have the right to build these projects. In 2015, India had requested Pakistan to appoint a neutral expert to examine the hydropower projects. However, in 2016, Pakistan unilaterally proposed that an arbitration court adjudicate on its objections. This was done unilaterally by Pakistan, and the World Bank appointed both a neutral expert and the chair of the Court of Arbitration. But then the World Bank put a pause on both processes in 2016. This was lifted in March 2022 at Pakistan's insistence, and the process is resumed. India has been opposed to this, saying that there cannot be a neutral expert and a court of arbitration both working on resolving the difference or dispute, because if they come to different conclusions, then it will be difficult to know which one to follow. And India says that views the treaty's provisions about resolving differences as a graded manner, and they believe that until the neutral expert says he cannot resolve the dispute, then only can it go to a court of arbitration. That has not happened. Pakistan had actually sought the appointment of the neutral expert in the first place, but then went to a court of arbitration. So we can see that Pakistan is acting very irresponsibly and unilaterally. And so, and I agree with India's government that the neutral expert should be followed first, and until he says that he cannot resolve it, then there should not be a court of arbitration appointed. And so, what India has done now is that this was on January 25th, it sent an intergovernmental, sent a notice for modification for intergovernmental negotiations within 90 days to rectify the material breach of the Indus Waters Treaty, and this process will also update the treaty. So India says that Pakistan, by going to the Court of Arbitration, has breached the treaty, and India also wants the treaty to be updated. So the question now arises about what India should do. I think India should just continue on what it's been doing. Not force, but pressurize Pakistan to stick with the neutral expert to resolve its problems with these two hydroelectric power projects that India is building. India's it is true that India is building these on the western rivers, but India has a right to make hydropower projects on these rivers. It's not illegal according to the treaty. So Pakistan does not have a good argument against it. And I think that India should basically, uh, until Pakistan responds to the notice, India should not attend any uh, resolution. dispute resolution process with Pakistan, and even if it is with the neutral expert, it must first get a written promise from Pakistan that it will follow the path proposed in the treaty. Now, according to the treaty, it doesn't say exactly that a gradation of the levels by which disputes can be resolved. It doesn't say that a neutral observer, a neutral expert, and the court for arbitration cannot be done at the same time. It is something that India has interpreted from the treaty. So I think this idea of renegotiating the treaty to make the difference solving mechanism clearer and properly graded step and made step by step will be good for India and for Pakistan. I don't think Pakistan has a reason to fear that. And I really think Pakistanis are just trying to irritate India like they always do. It's so annoying. But this is just water. Both India and Pakistan can work together to have enough water for this region. But because of Pakistan's intransigence, it's just not possible. Hopefully, if the government of Pakistan mends its ways and becomes more responsible in how it treats waters under this treaty, and both the regions can flourish. Please share your thoughts on the video in the comments below. And if you want to see other videos about Indian nationalism and current events, click here. If you want to see my previous video, click here. If you want to see the sources I use for this video, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram.